Yeah, let me share also the screen and just one moment. Oops. Right. Let me share a small presentation just to give you a heads up um, on open learning and Aarohi. Maybe about 7-8 minutes I'll take, and then we'll just open it up to discussions, questions, and so on, whatever the group needs and wants to discuss. Yeah. So yeah, so to start the little introduction, we normally start with this question. We started our journey with this question as to what is the purpose of education, and with that question, we after having worked with children for 3-4 years, we got the answer from them that the purpose of education is to live. At least that looks like a more sensible answer than to say it is for job or it is for career and so on. That looked like a very short-term kind of an approach. And we also realize that everything that happens in life is education. So is the curriculum, because that's what we are going to do. We are not going to follow any curriculum. We're going to follow ourselves, our life, our wishes, our desires, our explorations, and so on. So yeah, that's how we see the purpose of education. So learning, living, education seems to be synonymous. And because they're synonymous, I become the leader of myself by default. And which is where we thought that it makes a lot of sense to invite the child to be the leader of self. Well, now what does it mean when we say that the child is the leader of self? First thought is that we don't bind the child with any one standardized or fixed curriculum. We let the child decide, just like how a 1-year-old decides that I want to now walk. You can't make him walk before that, or ask her to talk before she's ready to talk, like that. So we let the child decide what is it that you want to learn, what is it that you want to explore. The whole world is worth exploring. We don't think any one field is better than the other. Any one set of things to do is more important than the other. At least that's how we look at life. And open learning is all about inviting people to explore the whole world of possibilities. The second thought is that we don't need to teach the child. Child is perfectly, ready to figure out. Again, taking example of a toddler, how they are able to learn, let's say, a mother tongue, or learn how to walk or cycle, or so many other things just on their own, or just by mimicking others, or not just mimicking one person, but possibly collating from different people. That is how a child who has parents speaking two different languages is able to learn both the languages simultaneously. So that's the beauty of how we are naturally designed to learn, all at all ages, I would say. Which means that for the child, the whole world becomes the learning space, right from self to, you can see these circles on the screen, and everything starts kind of making sense, or rather, everybody starts making sense for them to learn. The third one is, if given the first and the second, as in the child deciding what to learn, how to learn, from whom to learn, then it makes sense the child decides how much to learn, or how well to learn something, or how they want to learn to how to do something. I may climb one tree, another child may climb 100 trees. How does that matter? It each one's own needs and joys, and in their own way of looking at oneself, saying, hey, I want to do more of this, or I want to do less of this. Obviously, we are there to give feedback, but primarily, we don't really need to run anybody through any kind of tests. Uh, uh, Also, interestingly, as we become open learners, we decide that it's literally everybody whom we can learn from. Somebody who's good at music, I can learn from him. Somebody who's very good at, let's say, doing crazy stuff, I can learn crazy things from him or her, and so on. So we can learn anything from anybody and everybody, kind of. Um, the last thought is that we don't need to impose the education system, the current education system of school, college, degrees, as the only way. That's one way. Whoever likes to do it that way, absolutely fine. But that's just one way. There are so many other ways, and the child can figure out as the child goes what permutation combination the child wants to take in his or her life at different points of time. Again, not limited to the first 25 years. It can, we are limiting ourselves to, let's say, the first 100 years of our life. Obviously, we survive till then, which essentially means that open learning is about giving responsibility of the self to the learner by not taking away the responsibility. We don't have to really give. We don't just not take the responsibility. We let them decide and become responsible for themselves. So it's not about freedom. It's about responsibility. It's about them having their own responsibility, and they're perfectly capable at different ages. Just like they're so responsible for their learning when they are, let's say, 1 year old. A 1 year old can be responsible. I'm sure any other age we can be responsible for ourselves. So a typical open learning journey goes like this. It starts from exposure at an early age. Then as they grow their own interests, they start exploring more of few things and less of certain things. And as they grow older, they get into expertise, which means they may choose one or two fields and go much more deeper into it. Like I think Soumya was mentioning, her son wants to get into sports and so on. And at some stage, they can convert one or some of their expertise into enterprise as an earning, sometimes even multiple ways of earning. So it really depends again on each individual and what they are looking for. Yeah. So this was little about open learning. Now, where does Aarohi come in this? Well, we are just a community of families who are kind of doing this journey together, kind of supporting each other, learning from each other, even co-creating a lot of possibilities for each other and for ourselves as a group. And kind of living together. We need not be physically living together, like how Preeti mentioned, they are in Mumbai. We are in the Aarohi campus near Bangalore. Namrata is in Pune. So we are all at different places, but we could totally be together in terms of day-to-day interacting, helping, supporting, doing things together, collaborating, and so on. And we'll tell you more stories depending on if you want to hear those stories. Finally, Aarohi is not so. So in that sense, Aarohi is not about one place. We have a campus, yes, but we think each home is a campus. So each home becomes a campus, then each other's home becomes a campus. So one family can travel to another family, and that becomes their campus. Or the whole world becomes their campus, because we all can travel to different parts of the world. We have Isidora, who is coming from Chile, I think, and she's coming to India. So for us now, Chile is a campus, and so on. So it just keeps wherever we want to go. For us, there is learning. A brief note on coversity, which is more about how children. So what of the biggest concerns, doubt areas that people have in mind is, hey, but what about professional life? Don't we need to get into degrees, colleges, and stuff like that? Well, yes, that's one route, but there is definitely possibilities of difference or different options available, especially because the system, some of the things that youth are facing listed on the screen is they don't want to decide so early. They want to still explore the world. They want to not be compared or compete. They just want to understand themselves, explore this whole beautiful world, the possibilities. So those are some of the challenges that youth are facing. Some of us enjoy the academics. That's absolutely fine. So which leads to some kind of a disconnection some people have. They don't want to get into competitions or do studies or exams, but they would like to do certain specific things that they want to do. The interesting part is that the world is changing today. There's so much options to upskill yourself or go deep into any industry. Industry is ready to guide and mentor and to take on youths for their professional work, so on. So that's the beauty of the today's world, very, very open. So that's where we present coversity, which is basically where the teenagers can explore their interests. If they want to explore different interests, they can explore different interests by deep diving in one and then in another. They also do actual industry work, actual stuff. It's like to give you a simple example, if I'm a coder, I would rather code something which is to be used by somebody, or if I'm a sports person, I would rather play real matches, right? And it's also about valuing that learning can come from experts rather than just from some people. Learning can literally come from anybody. And the most important thing, teens are very open. They like taking challenges. They like helping each other as a group. So that's what Coversity is. It's all about being work certified. I do my work, I prove myself, and I get either more work or a job or whatever I'm looking for. So that's Coversity. We can talk obviously more about that. So that's just a name given uh, to the open learning journey of the teenagers as they grow older, just to give it more focus towards the professional growth, which they are looking for once they reach 13, 15, 17, 18, like that. Yeah, I've already talked about it. So let me let me skip all of this. And yeah, I want to end by saying that the whole journey of open learning is all about having the trust and building that trust in the child on himself or herself. Not worrying about the world. The world is already changing all the time, changing. We can evolve ourselves as different individuals as we go along, depending on how we want to live ourselves, live our life, kind of thing. Right. So let me pause here. We have a theme today. Typically, every Saturday we try to keep a theme. Today's theme we've kept on financial sufficiency, whatever that means. Anyways, but that's just a theme. If people have questions around that or want to discuss that, we can discuss that. If people have questions about Aarohi, open learning, homeschooling, unschooling, whatever words you want to, we can. It's an open, informal space. Please ask as many questions. Please come on video, more people, more visual connect. These meetups for people who have come for the first time, they're very informal. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I'm seeing a comment. I might be going a little fast. Yeah, that was, I know this. The content on the slide is maybe too much. So idea is not really that you read the slides I can make available to you. So don't worry about that too much. Yeah. So inviting people to jump in, share your questions, thoughts, discussions. You need to initiate them. We are there. Some of us, all of us can answer, respond. And uh, I hope people got some broad idea about it. So yeah, more people on video, audio, chat, however you want to interact, you're most welcome. If you just want to be here and listen, that's also absolutely fine. If you want to ask something, that's also absolutely fine. If you have questions specific to your child, please feel free to ask. This is just a group of parents and people very closely connected. So don't worry, there is no issue talking about that. Somebody's asking, do you have Aarohi campus at Jaipur? Well, no, yes, maybe in the sense, well, we don't have a campus, but yeah, if there is any family in Jaipur who becomes part of Aarohi community, then your home becomes an automatic campus. If you would like to look at your home as a place where other open learners can at least visit, stay for some time, and so on. We have Dviji also is joined in. Cool. So we have more people to respond to your questions. So you'll have to start the discussion. I see some people who have joined in for the first time and some regulars, some who are already part of the communities. So that's a nice group. Also, Rishi, just inviting that let's more talk about open learning first. We'll worry about the campus part and all of those because to us, the community is kind of secondary. The primary thing is about, hey, do I want to explore open learning? I think that's where it kind of starts. Okay, you're singing in an Aarohi school at Delhi. Okay, I'm not aware of Aarohi school at Delhi. Maybe, yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, Mohit.
Yeah. So when actually I saw the theme for today's meetup, I know it's open, but when it said financial stability or financial sufficiency for open learners, so I went into thinking mode. Like the first part, like how do I define financial sufficiency or stability? Right there, the definition is open for everyone to interpret in his or her own way, right? And then it made me think a little deeper, saying that uh, finance is related to money, and again I will have to go and start thinking how much money is required, right? I mean, I'm not completely, it is, I'm still thinking about it, but first the forget about for open learners, I mean, and like you have earlier mentioned that we all are open learners at any age, not only kids, even I am a open learner. So in that case, what is, if I have to think for myself also, what is the financial stability or financial sufficiency for myself? And maybe then maybe, or maybe then maybe if I am able to figure out, and or her own
Sorry.
time.
Yeah, I lost your voice in between. I don't know if it's only for me.
Are others able to hear me?
Okay, carry on, Mohit.
Yeah, yeah. So that is what I was trying to think for myself. What is financial stability for myself or financial sufficiency for myself? If
Mhm.
there is a thought process that I can build for myself, and if it can happen naturally, maybe so. I mean, civil observe and learn. But for myself also, I'm not able to figure
Your
out.
voice is breaking in between.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
little losing
We
out
are,
few words. Yeah, in between. Yeah.
but did you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the?
we got the idea.
we got
Yes.
gist of it. Yeah.
I'm still confused. What is financial stability for me? Okay, at this stage, yeah.
In a way, you not just you have kind of answered a big question. Yeah. I don't know. Anybody wants to respond to what Mohit has shared? Just inviting.
Maybe Mohit, you can perhaps look at it like um, kind of financial backing you keep for yourself. Let's suppose in case if you want to do something, then that does not become a problem for you. Would that be something would you like to consider?
Um, it's thanks, Sujay. I think it is a good line of discussion. I can think like this is one line of thought where I can dribble with some ideas. Yeah. So like if some primary things that come to my mind is like basic food, clothing, and housing. But maybe after that is covered, maybe suppose bought a home for myself and I'm earning enough to be able to uh, provide food and clothing for myself and my family. Uh, is that it? And maybe some savings for maybe um, uh, for unforeseen situations. Uh, Maybe 1 year of earning, if it is there in the bank account, uh, do I need more? And if even if I needed more, will I mean, even if suppose if I had an idea and I turn it into a business, uh, there could be, if the idea has merit and I can some fellow people, I think people will be able invest in my ideas. That is, I think, how all the companies got built slowly with a small idea and people
Yeah, yeah.
money.
So So yeah, so the point is, for example, whatever you want to do, so let's suppose you are doing X job right now and you want to do Y. So from X to Y, let's say if you need 1 year, then the roti kapda makan for like one of the, this is just one of the things. Okay, there would be others also. So to do that, if you are able to do that in that 1 year, then that's kind of a financial flexibility, right? So would that something, would you consider as your, like, would you think that that is a good line of thinking, or that doesn't make sense? The financial security is different. I'm also trying to understand.
Good. I'm also happy that and maybe more people can also join in. But I think this definitely makes sense, and it is a good line of, and maybe the could be the primary line of thought. At least in my case, might not apply to others who are at different stages in their, journey. Would be happy to listen to what others also think.
I can throw in one little thought that when I ask these, especially the teenagers, as to what do they think about it, they say we want to earn now, like 14, 15, 16. They want to start earning. They don't know how much. They're not thinking in this way but they just want to, I think, get value for giving value. I think that's where they want to start. More than that, I don't know what they are looking for. Or maybe they don't even have an idea about what is financial stability at age 17, 18, 20, but they like to earn.
Yeah. So Ratnesh, since you mentioned that, and since you get to interact with some of the teenagers, okay, along this line, you said that they all want to earn now. Good thing. But haven't they ever told you, like, by 20, or maybe a billionaire by 30 something, or I want to retire by 40, something like that? Don't they say? Just just curious.
Uh, Vijay, are you talking? You're on mute. Vijay, are you speaking to us? You are on mute. Or maybe you're speaking to somebody else.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody else, but I did unmute in between.
Okay.
So, Mohit, one of the primary reasons I think uh, I would have chosen sufficiency and not stability, or for that matter, even if it is stability, it doesn't matter. Uh, it's something that each of us has to decide, right? And you kind of hit the nail on the head in identifying that, what is sufficiency for me may not be sufficient for somebody else, right? So each of us, not just in terms of our own learning objectives, but even our financial objectives or life objectives, will have a different thing to pursue, right? So in some sense, uh, one of the first steps towards attaining something is to recognize what you want to attain, right? So the question that you're asking, the answer is in you. You have to look for that answer. But it's great that you have taken that track where you're asking not for your child but for yourself, what is sufficient for me? Because that's one of the primary things that would lead you to a different path. If you do not recognize that you don't know what you need, then you will probably end up pursuing what you really don't want to pursue. So what I'm trying to get to is that whether it is learning or finances or something else, having that clarity of thought as to what I want out of this is extremely important. And I think the way you have positioned your question or shared your question, as well as the way you have analyzed it, I think that's perfectly fine. Only thing is that don't expect answers from us, because we don't know the answers either. I mean, I know the answer for myself, but I don't know the answer for you. So yeah, way to go. You're on the right track.
Yeah, just to bring it to the context of open learning. So what I would say is that it's interesting to have these conversations with children at different ages, how they look at their life, and it changes. It changes. Even for us, it changed. Even for children, it changes. What they're thinking at 14 may not be same as 18, may not be same as 24. But having these conversations at different point of time and maybe allowing them to create their own ideas rather than we coming from I know the best way, or this is better than this, X is better than Y. I don't know. I would say, well, I have done it X way. Like my son surprised me last year when he said, "What? You have only one source of income? That is so lame." That's the word he used. He said, "That's so lame. In today's world, people have multiple sources of income." I said, "Wow, I never thought of it that way. You do one work and you just get income from that." But that started me thinking. Forget it. I don't know what is he thinking, but that started me thinking about my own financial journey. So it's interesting, when we allow them to explore, because the options, opportunities also keep changing. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Ratnesh, I understand what you are saying, but if you if you see most of the times within WhatsApp groups also, I think this is the question that keeps popping from different people all the time. And I think I don't know, I'm just interpreting the context behind that is somewhat like open learning is not basically going to make you earn equivalent to kind of school going pattern. I think that's where the actual question most of the time comes from the parent. So what about that?
Well, I don't know how people have reached that conclusion because they haven't met open learners. I would seriously want to question if that is the reason they are coming from, that as compared to. So if you're comparing A versus B, you should have A in front of you. No? They don't have A in front of me, then themselves, and then they're comparing it with B. So I would like to challenge it, not in the fashion that they are wrong or right. I would just say go ahead and collect that data if they are looking for a data. Uh, if they are looking at that people who have done their own journeys, and then the journey could have started at any point of time. Right? It doesn't need to start only at 13, 14. It can start at much younger or much older. Uh, so yeah, but if that is the context, if the comparison has to be, then it has to be in comparison to something, and which is where I often tell people that look around how many people have changed their professions from what they within quotes originally studied in terms of degrees or certifications, and if they are in totally unrelated fields, then how do you explain that? It wasn't that they studied X and now they're doing Y. So then how do so in that sense, I would say so many of us, huge numbers. So if numbers are required, that those are the numbers that is substantial proof.
Right. So this the last point that you talked about in terms of people switching from X to Y and all that is correct. The only thing, even the people and this is something that kind of people that I have interacted with, even those that they have gone from X to Y at a later stage in the life, right? They kind of attribute the ability to go from X to Y to uh, their perhaps upbringing, which essentially considers schooling as a fundamental foundation of their upbringing. That is how I have interpreted. I might be wrong, but most of the time that was my interpretation when they were talking as to why we cannot correlate what we have done as going from here to there equivalent to being an open learner. And when I say being an open learner, I'm talking strictly in the sense of not not going through the traditional schooling mechanism.
Diji, you're on mute. Okay, just inviting also others to jump in if you are interested in this conversation. And if for some reason you're waiting for another conversation, like I can see one of Rishi's question there. So we'll come to that, Rishi, in just a little while. It would help if you come on mic, then you can grab more attention. But anyway, we'll come to that in just a little while. Yeah, Dwichi.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get to like take that conversation further. And when we talk about financial stability or sustenance or sufficiency, understanding finances is something that is not a typical part of education curriculum, right? I mean, even if you look at an MBA program, there you talk about the finances of a company or entities and all that, not about the self, right? Trying to work out what would be a good financial objective for an individual is something that's lacking in almost every curriculum that you see. So what I'm trying to get to is that when we talk about pursuing financial sufficiency as an open learner, you actually have the tools to pursue it, which you wouldn't if you were just pursuing a conventional education, right? So in effect, what I'm trying to say here is that as an open learner, you are on a much more faster track towards or better prepared to achieve financial sufficiency than as a conventional learner, for the simple reason that the conventional learner is used to learning according to a curriculum. So effectively, you will be chasing a dollar figure or a rupee figure, which is not something that you have worked out or elaborated on or analyzed or even for that matter weighed, right? So as an open learner, I feel one invariably gets too critical about these things and starts analyzing them and thinking, do I really need this? Do I really want to spend my time doing this? What else would I like to do? Can I do with more? Can I do with less? All those questions are things that we invariably grapple with as open learners. So I just feel that when we talk about financial sufficiency and open learning, uh, we have to recognize that as individuals, we are better off because we have some what do you say, background work, some toolkits already assembled for us to deconstruct it and build our own objectives and our own goals, which I feel a conventionally educated child or an individual would not have as much of. So
Or maybe the individual will come to those little later in their life when they've started earning.
yeah,
Now they started thinking, is this what I want to do in my life? Is this how I want to spend my time, energy to only earn this much? Or do I want to do something else or a combination of things and so on? So I always argue the other way around, that if I have to take all the risk, I might as well take it when I'm much younger, when there are already parents to support me and all that,
yeah,
rather
when I
than
have
take
a
it.
safety net.
Yes, when
Yeah,
I already have a safety net of family,
yeah,
rather than do it much later
yeah,
when I don't know whether I have the safety net or not. But yeah, but
yeah,
that's an individual choice, whether you want to do it as a
yeah.
younger or
So I think I chose my first career when I was 14 years old, before I started my 10th standard. So I have switched about 10 times at least since then.
yeah, in a conventional sense, Twiji, you are a bad example. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just thinking if since we have started on this, we can little stay on this. We can come to Rishi's question in just a little while. But if more people have a different perspective or different angle of discussion that you want to take, uh, yeah, Sujay and Mohit have already jumped into it. Anybody else would like to bring in a different aspect of it?
Is it unmuted? Yeah. Hi. Hi. This is Nandakishore.
Hi, Nankishore.
Hi. So I'm Soumya's husband. Hi. You can hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I can say this. I can say this as a personal finance advisor. So see, sufficiency or what we need to have is something which is extremely personal. So in as much as what Dwiji said, completely am in sync with what he was saying, in the sense that which is why it is called personal finance. It's very personal, right? However, the problem that I see as an advisor, the problem that I see is that people either don't have the interest or the time to pursue this while they are doing something else, right? While they are probably working in tech companies or building aircrafts or whatever they are doing, they don't find the time or they don't have the interest to do this, right? So as Dwiji was also mentioning, that it is not there in the curriculum today, while it has been, for whatever it's worth, has been included in the national education policy, which has been uh, which has which has been passed but not rolled out yet, right? It is something which I believe that it is one of those multiple things that people have to gather, and I would call this as a life skill amongst the many things that can help people. This is something, it's like walking, drinking, eating right. This is something which everybody has to learn, whether you're an open learner or the traditional schooling system or education system that is being followed. This is something which everybody has to learn. Unfortunately, that focus is not there. But having said that, I would probably kind of tend to humbly disagree with Dwiji is that, I don't think it is a function of whether it is open learning or the traditional education system. It is not there anywhere at this point of time. And just like learning basic English or learning basic a set of languages which everybody has to learn, this unfortunately is not taught. And it's not a big deal. It can be taught. It's actually a very simple subject. And to each his own. So going back to Mohit, circling back to Mohit, to each his own. So Mohit, if you can take how much you spend in a month, then you can take that and extrapolate it, give yourself a certain amount of years to live, multiply what you spend today into 12, into the number of years, at least build that as a corpus, then you are sufficient. I hope I have answered it as well.
Thanks. I just wanted to bring the angle of open learners here, since I have some exposure of children who do open learning, perhaps the maximum, at least in this group, is that they are very, very well into their own personal finance, and not just finance from an angle of money, but from the angle of what value they can offer, how they can leverage that value. Is it worth leveraging? Can I move forward? Can I build deeper value in myself, which I can then leverage either to get a job or a project? So these are day-to-day discussions in the campus, for example, or among the coversity youth on a day-to-day basis. There are discussions about how much can I charge for this? How much should I be doing for this? And not just in terms of, as I said, money. They're constantly talking about, oh, if I get this skill, then I can do this with this skill, and not just as a skill, as a hard skill, but as an overall, a quality in myself as a professional. So this kind of thinking has because they're in the industry. That's the value of coversity brings it. They're out there. They know that this is what it is, and they know how I can do it. So because they're already part of the industry, they are already thinking about it, not trying to count the dollars or the rupees, but more in terms of an approach towards their own life. And that is what I really like. So they are learning. Nobody is teaching them. Nobody needs to teach them. They are learning in their own way. And I think that's far more beautiful than we trying to teach them. Just the planning part of it. Yes, planning, if they need some help, they can come to people like you, and there are, I'm sure, many other people and books and so on. But it's less of the planning part, but it's more of understanding that, okay, this is how I can develop a value for myself. And when I develop value for myself, I can demand that value from the world with, in different forms. And that can be my professional, journey in different ways, in different forms. And which is where, as I was giving example, how my son was looking at how I can even do that in multiple fields, so that I have multiple streams of earnings also. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. So that's why when people say that, hey, I fear financial, let's say, consequences of this open learning as a journey or unschooling as a journey, I say it should be the other way around. You should be most happy about the financial thing, because that's what they are thinking. Yeah. Uh, so that's the whole idea. Yeah.
I would like to share something more on this.
Yes.
Maybe an experience also, and being a chartered accountant, I met so many people in last 10 or 14 years. And one thing which I realized is, even if you have ended up working maybe 5 years, 7 years into an IT company or so, there was lack of awareness which people are having with regard to management of their own funds. As Nankishore rightly said, there is no awareness about it. So I think, as you rightly said, being an open learner, family of open learner, we have a more opportunity that such discussions can happen more often at home. And automatically child learns out of it about maybe it starts from simple budgeting. So maybe few months back we were just having some discussion on financial budgeting for our home, and Ansh proposed that can I just maintain a sheet of expenses of full month into the Excel. And then the entire story started from categorization. First budgeting, we wrote down all the expenses in different category of entire home and office. Then in Excel sheet we made those categories. So in a way he learned the Excel sheet also. And entire month he was dedicated enough. At the end of the day he would ask every member of the family expenses.
I think we just lost Namrata, no?
Yeah. I was just waiting
Okay.
if she'll come back. Or
Yeah.
maybe I thought maybe it's my yeah, Namrata,
So,
we kind of lost your voice. Yeah.
oh, when did you lose it?
Um, the monthly expenses that
Yes.
he would do a daily end of the day record of all the
Yeah.
expenses.
That Ansh was making, yes.
Yes, right. Thank you.
Just to share one more experience as a family. Am I audible?
Yes, Pranav.
Yeah. So our daughter, Misty, she's 11, and so we have this conversation very often regarding finance. Even today, while driving, we're talking about present value of money, and how one can spend money now rather than postponing it. But at the same time, it has to be efficient use of money. So there are many discussions that we had. So, but the one example I would like to cite is, uh, as an open learner, and as a family, when you have a discussions, the children also kind of understand the importance, the value of money, and how they are spending it. So it's not only about earning aspect; it's about also the spending aspect. Okay, what am I getting out of this spending? So I just cite a small example. She goes to her Malcolm thing, and every day she goes by auto, and that thing runs into monthly some amount. And so she comes up with a thought, "Okay, this is too much that I'm spending on my Malcolm. Like she's paying X fees, but she's paying like 10x of money just for transport commute. So she's, how can I save on this? So now she is working on the alternates. What all can be done? So one, can I take a bus? Can I take a monorail? Or can I take auto from here to here, and from here to here I can walk, and that will also help me, walk to Malcolm. So that will be my warm up. So such discussions and such understanding gets deeper at a very early age. So what I see. And regarding the earning aspect, I think Misty has already started earning. She has conducted few workshops, and she has earned some money. So it's not about how much; it's about she has earned and she understands what's earning about. And there also, I said one example. She had done workshop, and they were supposed to get certain amount per workshop. So she said I had multiple things to offer. So the person said, okay, we can squeeze this in a shorter duration. Rather than having 1 hour workshop, we can have 1.5 hour of workshop, and we can club 2 things. And at the end of it, he paid for 1 workshop. So then Misty was happy about the money part that she got it. But at the same time, she said, but I have taught you 2 things. So I am supposed to get for 2 workshops. So he made that person pay him for the 2 workshops. So she wrote a very polite message, convincing message. And ultimately that person actually gave her the extra another workshop ka paisa. So this is where, they realize and they understand. So I'm just giving one example. Every family will have their own way of, doing this. And it's not about money, which is like the important part, but the point is about understanding and how they are prepared for it. So that's it from my end.
Okay, I'm taking the liberty to bring in Mohit's question because he typed it long time back, and just to bring in that. So we might take a little diversion from the financial sufficiency discussion. So Mohit, you are asking who's in class 10th is interested in math can benefit from Aarohi. So let's leave the word Aarohi for now aside. It's not about how Aarohi can benefit. It's more about what does he want to do. As in, what does he want to do about things? What is it? So maths is just a subject. Does he want to go deeper into maths? Is that what he wants to do? Or does he want to use maths for some purpose? So the whole conversation to me, if I were to meet him, and obviously you all, would be around what does he want to do? What does he want to explore more? Now, if that is something he wants to do with an institute or with a group of people, he can do it that way. If he wants to do it on his own, he can do it that way. If he wants to do it, yes, as part of 10, 12, then he can do it that way. If that is his, so then that's, where is the problem? If he's interested in maths as in a subject, then he can just go ahead and study that. Again, both he can study it formally or he can study it informally. That really depends on what does he want to do. Sometimes the formal structures can limit. So he may want to take to an informal structure where he's part of something and rest he does it on his own. Or if he prefers a formal structure and thrives there, then he can take a formal structure. There are enough institutions on mathematics in our country and in the whole world. So I'm saying it's not about Aarohi first. It's about your son and what he wants to do and how he wants to do. The question is for him to explore. I would say the more he thinks about it, the more he finds out about it. It's kind of he taking the responsibility of his journey. And as a parent, if I were in your place, I would just take a back seat. He is interested in math, so he should do everything about finding about this, that. Wherever he needs help, I can help him. But I don't need to fall in love with maths, right? I'm already in love with my child. That's good enough. Right? Let him fall in love with maths, and at some point, let's say he falls out of love with maths, that's also fine. If he continues his journey in maths, that's also fine. If he takes a little detour somewhere, that's also fine. And as I said, in this whole scheme of things, where does Aarohi or open learning fits in would depend on how does he want to take it forward? Yeah. So if you, I don't know, meaning you will have to either bring in more details. Maybe you can come on mic and talk a little more about it. Or if you want to first have a detailed discussion with him and come back to us if you need our help. And if we are not needed, that's also absolutely fine. There are enough people to guide you in mathematics, I'm sure. Yes, Soumya. So I'll give Rishi to think. Yeah, Soumya.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's a question very similar to Rishi in the sense that when we are aligning ourselves with the interest of the child and, let's say letting the child make decisions in terms of how they want to move ahead in their, whatever they choose to do. And it's a very personal question in the sense that we are at a juncture where he also comes back to us for our inputs and our suggestions.
Sure.
Right. And for me, that's a bit of a gray area in the sense that how much of do we say, if this is what you think, let's go ahead with it, to saying that, okay, this is what I think, do you want to try it? I don't know if I'm putting it right out there, but do you want me to explain it? I mean, how much of a role do we actually play in the child's decisions? And is that making sense, Ratnesh?
Yes. And I don't think, again, there is an answer. Just like there is a financial sufficiency, parental sufficiency, coaching sufficiency, guiding sufficiency, there is no answer. It is the dynamics between you and your child, as in the family members, all the family members, right? It is your dynamics. Sometimes you may think I'm doing too much, so you may reduce. Sometimes you may think I'm doing too less, or you may think in this area my inputs are required, in that area my inputs are required. Or my inputs could be in the form of a nudge, and sometimes in the form of a scold, and sometimes in the form of a despair and throwing up of your arms, and sometimes in the form of just chilling out. So I don't know. It is all part of the journey, right? And that's why the journey is enjoyable. If it was a one single track journey, just keep on giving X all the time, and the child goes and whatever reaches Z, what's the fun? I mean, then there is no life.
So, because as parents, it's also, I mean, and I have only one child, so it's a bit scary for me to actually look at when he makes a very clear decision and he has a very clear idea of what he wants to do, at least at this point of time, right? Whatever he wants to do now. And I'm sure that might change 5 years later or 4 years later. And he's like, what do you think? What would you do differently? Right? And I see myself, I'm at a juncture where I'm like, do I really want to share my opinion and color what he wants to do? And I mean, I go ahead and say whatever I have as my opinion or suggestion, but I'm just trying to see how, just trying to see if I'm doing this right, maybe.
Well, there is no right.
I have this thing that whatever you do, not just you, but whatever any parent does, the child will always blame the parent for any failure. Okay, so rest assured. So you
Actually,
might
not even
enjoy yourself while you're doing whatever you're doing, knowing very well that at the end of the day you'll be left holding the bag.
Actually, on a very humorous note, it's not even so much about failure, because I think that's something that we go through every day with everything that we do, right? Small things and big things that we do. But I think the larger perspective for me was I'm figuring out my life at 39 or 40, right? and very similar to what you were saying, Vijay, I've gone through career changes every half a decade of my life. So, so I'm like, where am I in my place to be able to even comment on, so yeah.
So, I mean, you can listen to a lot of songs, and you will find a ton of songs where it will be like, don't do what I did, don't do what I say, just do what you want to do. There are tons of songs like that, and they're all very true. Let them figure it out. I mean, learn from my experience and do whatever you want. That's all. Yeah.
Sure, Soumya. So I think one of the things that I can share is that is where the community helps, because if you are just alone, as in not alone, as in just this small family, sometimes you feel as if this whole thing about am I missing out something? And that's where it's a good, at least for us, it has worked beautifully to have so many other families like Dwiji and Preeti Pranav and now Namrata is part of it. So there's so many families, and you bounce off your thoughts, you share with them, they share their thoughts. So these discussions are there, and that kind of just it is not necessarily that the discussion has to help you, but just the sense that yes, okay, it's all we are not alone in the journey. We are all a train, whatever, a highway or whatever, a way where so many others, fellow travelers are there, and we can ask somebody who has been there, done that, and we can ask somebody who's just starting and support them. So I think that's what really helps. Yeah. Otherwise, yes, it's as you put it, if we are ready to let the child chart out his journey in whichever way it is, whether it's one field or whether it's many fields. So, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because that's not how everybody else is doing. Yeah, so it's just, but it's more fun. Okay, let me not say more fun. I'm not comparing it with anybody. It's fun. I can just say that it's very enjoyable, and all the twists and turns are really the excitement. Both from a financial perspective as well as our parenting sufficiency, not just the financial sufficiency or career sufficiency, but our own personal sufficiency. Am I good enough? Okay, Veda, I'm not sure I'm totally able to understand your question or thought. Would you like to come on to the mic and give us a little context also? Because, is it about your child or any other specific child, or where are you coming from? Sorry, so if you can come on
Yes,
mic, that
sir.
would
Yes,
help.
sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. You can
Uh,
call me Ratnesh. There's no
Ratish.
sir here. We're just,
Okay,
little
okay,
human beings.
okay. It's like I work as a counselor in schools as a part-time counselor. So
Mhm.
many a times I come across this children they'll be like upset many times after PTM, like the kids are beaten up. They are brutally beaten up. Even in the classroom, they are beaten up.
Mhm.
And I feel like sometimes when they're in ninth standard, we send them for assessment also. It's a very big school also.
Mhm.
And then when we send them for assessment, many a times parents will not be ready to take them to such schools. At I mean, such schools in the sense, sir, what I'm talking about. Like it's a special school.
Mhm.
But when the parents want their kids to be in the mainstream teachers are not specially educated
Mhm.
to train those students. So this is where there is a gap, and many a time schools are not understanding, and children don't know what they are suffering from, and also parents don't know. They just yell at them, they shout at them, and this is what I'm facing. So, if I get to know what is a proper, remedy for this, maybe we can help out many students.
Okay. Uh, well, personally, I would start not with the child, but with the parents first. I would say
Yeah.
that we need to talk to the parents, understand what are they wanting, how are they understanding the child,
Mm.
and uh, because if the child is within quote suffering, directly the parents would also be suffering. Cannot happen
Yeah.
that the child is suffering and the parents are not, right? So now if the
Yes.
parents are suffering in the sense of their child, then it's important for them to we to understand what they are thinking, what they are looking for, what kind of options are they wanting. Are they just wanting that there could be some space where the child is just accepted first, just understood first? Are they more looking for a future career path? Are they more looking for so different parents could be looking for different things. So I don't have a ready-made answer, but I think it's important that the parents at least are, meaning I'm sure, connected with, and also
Yes. Yes.
shown that it is not like that we need to, I'm saying a little harsh line, but I'm saying it's not like we trim the child to fit the suit. We trim the
Correct.
suit to fit the child.
Correct. 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 Right.
Right? I know it's a very, very harsh kind of statement, but you see, that's what we try to end up doing in some cases. And I would say,
Yeah.
let's understand the child and see what is it that this child needs, and hence this family wants, and then see
Mm.
what can provide that. Whether it's open learning is one option. We are
Mm.
doing it like homeschooling is another option where you still, or there could be some other let's say alternate spaces, which could be another option. So it really depends on in each individual child. So just as I was responding to Rishi, I would say in his case he has to talk to his child. In your case, probably you will have to talk to the family, because
Yes.
school is just one way of doing it. I think the issue with this whole thing about schooling is not the schooling per se, but the fact that it's sold as the mandatory way to live life. Now, that is the issue. The issue is not in the schooling or the colleging or the certifications per se. But if it's sold as that is the only way you have to live life, including become a professional and so on and earn money and whatever, then there is a problem, because the ones who fit in are like considered as superstars, their posters are put up, and the ones who don't fit in are considered as everything else. All the negative labels go to them. Learning disabled and so on and so forth, meaning horrible. So there is no need for that. It is just, it appeals to some, great, awesome. It does not appeal to some, find something else which appeals to you. Meaning there's variety in almost everything else in life. Why can't we embrace variety in our own learning journeys? It's as simple as that. At any age, I would say, even at 35, if I don't like learning in a particular way, I can decide to find other ways of learning, which we do. At 20, 25, 30, 35, we do freely find ways in which we want to learn, either by doing a business or by going to a course or by doing a workshop or by reading 10 books or by getting a mentor or however. But that's not allowed at 14, 15, 16 or even younger ages. That's very surprising. So I think this awareness to parents that, hey, we are not stuck with the system, right? We can look for alternatives based on whatever are your needs.
So if you can tell me, like, if I get a child who is failing in almost all subjects, and if I tell the parents that let the child do what he or she likes, and if the parent is like, if he does drawing, can he pass his 10th? This is a question they ask. And it's like, so how do I handle such cases?
Yeah, which is where we need to first tell the parents that everybody doesn't need to pass 10th. Passing 10th is not mandatory. Passing 10th is one way of doing things, but passing 10th is not mandatory at all. Both my children haven't passed 10th, right? They are much older, they're adults now. They don't need to, right? But okay, they did it by choice. We gave them the choice. They didn't take that. They said, no, we don't want. We will do what we want to do. So I'm saying, if we remove that load from the parents, that okay, that is not mandatory, now decide what. It's like everybody doesn't need to get a driving license. I can just take a bus or a cab to travel from wherever to wherever, right? Now that's not a burden on everybody. That's the way I look at it. I know it's a very simplistic example, but yeah, we have to, that is precisely what we need to counsel the parents, that if the suffering is because the child is not fitting into the suit, then we need to look at it otherwise. We need to look for other suits or other kind of dresses which will help the child more. Because finally, at the end of the day, the child and the family needs to be at, be okay. I don't want to use the word happy, but should be kind of living life the way they want to live, not struggling life the way. Nobody wants to struggle life. Those struggles will come. It's not like that struggle by itself is bad, but if the struggle is my choice and I know I have to slog into it, or even if it's given to me but I'm okay with it because I want to reach somewhere, then it's okay. But if it's something which is just struggle all the time and it's not making sense to me, then why do it?
Yes, sir.
Especially when there are choices. So that's the important point, that there are choices.
Okay. Last question, can I? I know I'm.
Please ask more questions, because you are the one who would be helping many. So you please ask 100 questions.
because like, is there any, like, for example, if every now and then I'm getting such students and they are like, I understand, as you said, even the parents are suffering and children are also suffering. So I just want one answer: where can I refer these students in Mysore or Bangalore? Is there any place where they really kind-heartedly teach children in a special way what they love to do?
Okay, so I think there are many such spaces. Again, I think you would first need to, as I said, understand the family and what is it that they are looking for. And
Okay.
once you are you have a little idea of what the family is out of the options that you share with them, not of places. Forget the places first, but first the route, as in what is it that they would be most comfortable with. Do they want an alternate learning space? Do they want a homeschooling kind of setup? Do they want an open learning kind of setup at home? No, it doesn't need to be Aarohi at all. So let's forget the places, but first try and understand what is it that they are ready to take experiment with or explore with for their child to see what works for their child. Yeah, then we can look for, so we can definitely guide you in guiding them. There's no need for you to refer them to us directly. If you have a let's say a case history or a case summary, and you can send us and we can guide you. Plus, we can guide you to more people who can guide you.
Yes, yes.
So we can all work as a team, but finally you can be the one who understands the parents' needs and the child's
Yes.
needs first.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Natish.
Welcome. So you please stay connected. Please directly ask us, and we'll see who can be the best person or an organization whom they can connect with. Also, let them also explore more options. Go meet 10 different places, look at 10 different options, and then see what works for them. Because for each age and each family, it would be different.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we have quite a lot of people in the meetup today. If anybody else would like to have a discussion on something else which we haven't talked about, or talk about you and your family, your journey. I'm just going through the names list. Some names are new for me: Yogesh, Suprita, Kirti, Harminder, Mohan. Sorry, I'm not remembering the names of Piali. I think so. I'm just saying, if you've been here before or if you just prefer to stay quiet and listen, that's absolutely fine. There's no issue with that. But I'm just inviting. It's more like an invitation. Yeah.
Ratnesh, can I ask a casual, non-serious question?
Surely.
So, don't you feel kind of sometimes bored in a sense that when you kind of explain about the first few slides that you explained, I join in between, but some of them, like whenever I had an opportunity, I was lucky to listen to you earlier, and like today, listen half part of it. But kind of, don't you feel that as the same thing that you are, doing? How do you deal with it? Because it's kind of new freshness in whenever you are explaining. Like at least you looked at it.
The content is also new every time. I have observed it.
Oh, is it okay? So
Yes.
yeah, okay. But maybe not 100% of content can be new. I think there would be some repetition. I mean, there would be something that would be not as the repetition, but I think there will be something that requires to be carried over for people to be understanding this.
I don't know if I have an answer to that. um,
There's a simple answer to it. He talks about passion that people have. He only talks about live life, and he's living his life the way he wants to do it. So that is why he's so passionate about it that his answers and his liveliness shows.
Same for you, Preeti. You are there in every SMOL, and Viji and Pranav, and you guys are literally, I guess it's Yeah, whatever. You want
No,
to...
I just unmuted myself because I want to hear your answer to it. It's a question to you.
Ayo.
Exactly, Duji, exactly.
I mean, I know that I know some of the things, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Sorry, I don't know if I have an answer to it. Or rather, I've thought about it this way that,
Yeah, think about it and come back some other time.
And
But
I think
I
that
think
is the
Sujay,
beauty of Ratnesh, I guess.
yeah, I mean, Ratnesh is one thing, but I think one of the things that we often
No, it's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not only about Ratnesh, but
Yeah.
I guess Duji, you got my point. Like Ratnesh is kind of, I asked him this question just based on kind of his initial introduction, but it kind of goes the similar manner for all the people who are able to do it,
yeah.
where somehow not all of us can do it.
See, I don't know about. I think I will go back to what Preeti was saying, that when you want to do something and you know that this is needed for a certain purpose, you find ways to entertain yourself while doing that. So, I mean, once you recognize that there is a challenge and you want to overcome that challenge, you will find a solution to way to overcome that challenge. So, I'm deconstructing it or analyzing it from an open learner's perspective. That when I know that I want to do this, I want the conversations after the introduction, and that the introduction is necessary to, pull in more people, seed some new questions or seed some question in people's minds. I'll find ways to keep it interesting. And I think a couple of times when we have had just old timers, we have sat and done some kind of question and answer and Q&A kind of thing to just keep the conversation going. So I feel it's you find solutions. I don't think that's anything unique to Ratnesh is all I wanted to say, not to take away anything from him, but we find solutions and we try to make things more interesting. I mean, following in Ratnesh's line about cutting children to fit a suit, I mean, I can give another analogy, but I think I'll not do that.
Too gory.
That I have one more question, if that's okay. I
Yes,
mean, or
yes.
I'll
We
wait.
have 10 minutes. So, Soumya, you can
Okay.
as many questions
Okay.
you can fit in that.
All right. So another question was, why is it specifically called open learning? And how is that probably different from homeschooling, which is what he's currently going through? Or, I mean, I wouldn't even say homeschooling. He's probably just learning on his own, or unschooling, as they call it. Just trying to understand why do you call what you do as open learning? And yeah, just trying to understand the purpose of this.
Okay, that's actually quite easy to answer. So the reason to coin a new term was that, first of all, both homeschooling and unschooling was only, first of all, it was reference to schooling, which we found as a very narrow way of looking at it. And the second thing was it was limited hence to the schooling age. Well, what happens after schooling? So suppose I do unschooling and then I go to colleging in a way. So is that it? Meaning, is it that only schooling should be done in a different way and then we go back to the whole thing? While open learning is more, in that sense, let's call it universal in the sense it spans the whole age of our life. At 1 year, we are an open learner, 1 year age. At 10, I can be an open learner. At 20, I can be an open learner. At 40, as Dviji keeps saying, I'm an open learner all my life. So we are all open learners because if you really ask yourself, you are learning or doing things which you like doing or want to do or need to do, whichever way you want to put it. But it's your choice set. Right, it's not driven, but nobody is handing out the curriculum to you in that sense. So in that sense, Soumya, you are an open learner, but I can't call you as unschool learner because that's not your schooling age. So that is why we like the term open learning, because it's much more wider, and that's why we call it family does open learning, because it's not just about the child doing. It's not an education system. Right. That was the problem with the terms homeschooling, unschooling, because you're constantly referencing it to a curriculum. You're constantly referencing it to school. You are even comparing, has the child learned this much? He's equivalent to 7th grade, other children. So why refer to schooling? Why can't I just, the whole family can reflect back on what did we learn, let's say today, or this week, or this month, or what am I planning for next 6 months, or 1 year, or 5 years? I think that's more, to us, it's a more interesting way to live our lives for us. I'm not saying it's true for everybody, but so that is why we felt that a more open term, you may call it. And also, yes, very, very, very important is the grudge with schooling is, and even with colleges, is that they keep certain domains as far superior to all the other domains. That is a big, big grudge I have. Meaning, maths, my goodness, the way it is worshipped by everybody, almost everybody, is just so, I mean, it's so very, shows how skewed we have been in our whole approach. That means somebody who is just cooks at home, is that person lesser mortal than somebody who has done a PhD in mathematics? We even put doctor in front of our names. I even question them, why do you put doctor in front of your name? What do you mean by doctor? Meaning, isn't you are superior to us? We are not doctors, you are doctor, right? So anyway, but I'm not trying to say people shouldn't put doctor. I'm just trying to say that that whole approach is actually a fragmenting approach, which will always have better offs and less better offs, or holier than thou and not, which is something which while open learning says, oh, the whole world is our ground, you can learn from anybody. Everybody is a teacher, everybody is a facilitator. Even a kid can be a facilitator to me, which is so many times they facilitate learning in me, and so on and so forth. So the boundaries blur out. So that's why we like this term, just open. In fact, you can remove the word learning. We have retained it just because it's more focuses on, otherwise people will not even count us. But I would rather call it open living. But that would have been a little too esoteric. So we left it at open learning. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, actually, Ratnesh. I mean, because yeah, it's very interesting. I think I had this conversation with you where, my son was, thinking of, why do I really have to take math at this point of time if I don't want to take math? Right. And so I'm also trying to logically make sense to him so that he doesn't counter me back. Right. So, and in that process, I was like, yeah, I said, because most of the basic maths that we do, we have devices that help. And where am I in my life using math beyond a place? And at wherever I've needed, I think I've learned how to do those formulas on Excel sheet or whatever, right? But I think for me, a big takeaway from this session actually is the support that I would possibly get as a parent, because I think at every juncture, I'm also questioning myself on, is this the right path? Is this the right path, right? Or am I doing this right? And I think just to have a space where I think we're able to voice, I think is very, very powerful. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. In fact, we have recently started what we call as parenting circle, where, see, the parenting circle has been going on for 3-4 years, but it has been only within the community. They meet every week. Whoever wants to meet, a group of parents of Aarohi community. But now we have decided to open it up to other parents who may not want to join the full community, but may at least want to be part of this parent circle. And since they meet, and also they have a channel to discuss, and most importantly, they meet every Thursday, for 1 hour. It's a very, very informal kind of thing. So, so that's something that we have, opened up now, or rather, the parents have said, yeah, we can open up. Meaning, why it has to be only, for the people who are actually. So in a way, that's also, you are kind of half part of the community. The rest of the family may not be, but you can be part of the community, and so on. And then you want to take it further. So that's an option, the parenting circle. So anybody is interested in that can, kind of join in and see how, whether you want to be part of that group. Yeah. It's online, by the way, so it's much easier. I just post the link also for that. This is the link for the details on online parenting circles. So you can go there later. Obviously, you can always connect back with us on WhatsApp. And Vijay, you want to talk about the recordings and all that stuff? Okay, I'll only continue. Yeah, we also have a lot of recordings of these Saturday meetups where different aspects have been discussed. So if as a parent or as a family, you want to watch some of those, some of them have guest parents, guest youth coming in, guest children coming in of all ages, 7, 10, 15, talking about their journeys. So there are a whole lot of them. There are more than 160, 70 recordings. Sorry, I've lost count. But that's the number of recordings. So yeah, you can kind of check that out. I'll just post the link. So just give me a moment. I'll just do that. And you can copy the link from the channel, or you can always ask. I put the WhatsApp number again. You can always ask in the group. Yeah, we also have something that I keep talking about is the option of coming and staying with us for a week, not to learn anything, not to teach anything, just to be with an open learning group, open learning community, just to experience that. I think it's a very interesting experiences. At least the people who have come here, Namrata has come here, and so many people have come here. Just an experience. It's that. So we have many options especially in the month of March and April, because that's also the holiday season. So I'm just posting the link for that if anybody wants to, come and stay as a family. So that's very important that you come as a family and kind of stay with us 1 week. Yeah, this last one is the playlist for all the meetups. So today's meetup will also be added to this recording. Good. So thank you, everybody. It's 6:30. Time to call it a day. And yeah, we'll meet again next Saturday. We are there every Saturday, some of us. That's what the question was. How come we are there every Saturday? Well, we possibly enjoy doing it more than anything else. I guess that's my thought. And yes, the purpose point is always there. But yes, we also enjoy talking about the possibilities. Yeah. So thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. And join again any Saturday when you feel like chatting about open learning, your child's journey, so on. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.